Hey, Tom.
Hey, JC.
We survived another hurricane, buddy.
We did. We were just seem to be having one every other week or so.
I know. I feel like this is now your favorite bi-weekly wrestling podcast.
You have trouble with the power.
Yeah. So back where I live, like if someone just sneezes in the wrong direction, 6 trees fall and I'm without power for 6 hours.
You really shouldn't live near a balsa wood forest.
All right. Well, but I can make furniture whenever I want. Fuck IKEA.
You really don't want balsa wood furniture. Just as a pro tip.
If you like 2-ply it.
I'm no carpenter. I'm no woodsmith.
Ooh, I like that. Can we change it from carpenter to woodsmith? It sounds fancier.
I mean, I don't see why we can't change the English language.
All right, well,
to American.
Damn right, son.
Goddamn carpenter don't know what to carpet. There ain't no carpet. I'm working with wood.
It took me a second. I was like, why is he talking about Oh, right. Carpenter.
One who carpents?
Catcher of
carpets?
Make a
damn bit of sense.
Yeah.
At least plumbing comes from, Latin.
That's true, but it also makes me think of, I'm making things plumb, level, and they're just running pipe.
Well, yeah, but it comes from Latin. The lead's Latin term is whatever it is, but that's what the PLUMB comes from.
Oh. TIL. For the kids out there.
So this is your education portion of the wrestling podcast.
Yeah, we got that out of the way. Hi. Yeah, so now that we've gotten that...
Can we get a grant now or something?
Yeah, I think we just have to put E/I at the bottom before every show. It's just going to be in the description.
Pretty sure it qualifies for Saturday morning now.
Yes, put me alongside Recess.
Yeah.
For your kids wake up, they watch Recess, and they get to hear us talk about wrestling.
Pretty sure they haven't made a new episode of Recess in 17 years.
Shut up. I love that show, Tom.
Hey, I get to make you feel old every once in a while.
That's true. That happened just now. I don't know where to go from that. So here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Saudi Arabia. Because
that's a place where they have wrestling, apparently.
Yeah, but not really because we don't mention it anymore.
All right, it's the place that shall not be named.
Yes. Parts unknown. SmackDown 1000 happened this past week. So we'll talk about the parade of old men.
It's fascinating to think that there's actually been 1,000 episodes of the backup show to Raw.
That also made me feel old this week. We're going to talk about everyone in New Japan supposedly being unhappy, ? The belt says, !
Except, well, yeah, pretty much everybody. For kayfabe reasons or not, who knows?
Yep. And then Evolution's coming up, so if we got time, we'll touch on that 2 weeks out.
Or were you talking about the group that formed at SmackDown 1000 or...
No, I'm talking the first...
The other Evolution.
The first ever all-women's pay-per-view, because no pay-per-view has ever been all women of anything ever. This is our idea. Thank you, Stephanie. Hashtag.
So, women's revolution.
Right.
Evolution of revolution.
The revolution of evolution. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All that and more on this episode of the Cheaters Never Pin podcast. So strap in, kids. Here we go. And before we do that, Tom.
I'm sorry. I thought you were just going to roll into that. But yes, JC.
Can you ring the bell for me, buddy?
I'll see if I can reach it.
You're listening to the Cheaters Never Pin podcast, a proud part of the Section 328 network, bringing you all the best in wrestling from WWE, New Japan, and beyond. Now, live from ringside, it's Mr. Workrate and JC.
You damn right. We're back.
Bong.
Bong. Just like the ending of SmackDown 1000. I don't know where I was going to go with that, but that was the line I thought of. So Period.
Rob Van Dam showed up?
Did Rob Van Dam show up at the end of SmackDown 1000?
I don't know. I said bong, and you told me that was the ending of SmackDown, so I just assumed.
Well, Ray's back now.
Did I interpret that improperly?
No.
Did it not take place in Canada?
You interpreted it as it should have been interpreted, but I'm feeling like my brain's kind of low energy tonight. Even though I just ate so much candy just to try to get hype.
We are recording this at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's British Standard Time.
But only certain parts like Yorkshire and Winfordshire and
East Gloucestershire. Anyway,
yeah, I don't have other made up locations.
I feel like
they're all in Wales,
right? Well, so
I can't spell them.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they're Welsh, it's just a bunch of consonants that's pronounced nothing close to what it looks like. Like, what's that one train station? The world's longest name of a train station or whatever, or town? I don't know.
Oh, right, yeah.
It just, I know it's not gibberish. It's in Welsh, but it looks like gibberish if you don't know Welsh. Look it up. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Someone filmed the whole sign. It's kind of entertaining.
It's a thing. It's a large sign.
You know what else is a thing?
A large sign?
WWE Crown Jewel. Featuring the World Cup to determine the best in the world. Because that's the full name of it.
Which is taking place in
nowhere.
Redacted.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to just edit over you.
Chris Benoit's house, apparently.
It's Crown Jewel emanating from the enclosed pool area. That they can call next year's version "Don't Let the Dogs Out."
So Saudi Arabia and Chris Benoit's house have one important thing in common. Can we guess them?
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. It took... God damn. Jesus, Tom.
And that's why WWE isn't mentioning either one of them.
Oh, right. So, yeah, there's a... In case you've lived under a rock or visited a Turkish consulate lately, you must have heard about some murder that Saudi Arabia may or may not have committed. It is terrible that we're laughing at this right now because it's really not funny.
Oh no, it's horrible, but at the same time, well, we're not professionals, so.
No, 10 people are going to listen to this. I can't wait for the outrage tweets. Anyway, let me stop laughing and we'll talk about
be a professional. God damn it.
God damn it.
This is serious.
Yeah, so a journalist for the Washington Post, maybe not, but most probably definitely was murdered by agents of Saudi Arabia inside their consulate in Turkey. They're, of course, denying it. Or maybe not. Depends on who you talk to. But maybe they have a report that said, maybe we interrogated somebody that got out of hand. Who knows? But none of it's good. Especially when you're trying to do major business with a country like that. And so many companies have pulled out of a big business summit that's about to happen there. But boy, World Wrestling Entertainment's still going to go get their $40 million.
Because you got to understand, JC, it's a lot of money.
So it is. But at the same time, and I realize they have a fiduciary responsibility first and foremost because they're a public company, right? They have a responsibility to their stockholders. But I saw a report today that said analysts expect that they make maybe $2 to $3 million worth of profit off of this show. And for the amount of money they make overall anyway, I don't know that $2 or $3 million is worth the black eye that they'll take. Because mainstream media has picked this up.
Right. So here's the flip side of that. Like, you make $2 to $3 million in profit on the show. How much do you potentially lose if you cancel the show?
Well, but I'm saying none, right? Because then you wouldn't be spending the money and taking that profit and you wouldn't be getting the money and then spending the money on it. So it's like that $2 to $3 million never existed.
Yeah, but if a contract's entered into and they suddenly break the contract, then I mean,
there has to be
there's got to be some kind of poison pill in there to prevent the WWE from pulling out of something like that. It's not just, hey, we'll give you a crap ton of money to do it, and if you don't want to do it, well, it's all right.
But don't you also think there would have to be some kind of out clause in there of like, oh, WWE, if you do something stupid, we're canceling the contract? I feel like there would be a reciprocal version of that in the contract as well.
Yeah, there might be that for one way, but I don't know if you necessarily do that in WWE's direction.
Yeah. Like if Vince just brought somebody out and beheaded them on an episode of Monday Night Raw and then was like, I didn't do it. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, exactly. But it's the Saudis that are putting all this money out there. So they're basically kind of doing it one way. They're going, hey, we would like you to come in. Here's a crap ton of money. And we'll kind of put provisions in our contract just in case we want to back out.
I want to see this contract one day.
But from WWE's perspective, they don't necessarily have, at least if there is a buyout from their perspective where they voluntarily choose to pull out instead of some kind of situation like the arena is unfit or there, say, war ends up taking place and they're kind of afraid to actually go in there because of war standards. There's a way for them to be able to pull out, but I don't think there's enough of a reason per se as bad controversy to allow them to pull out of a contract with no like either payment going back to the Saudis or something like that to get out of this contract. I mean, it is right. It's a contract. You don't sign a contract for goods and services and then have the service provider back out and not expect some kind of compensation the other way.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something in there. I mean, now, mind you, this is not saying that WWE is going, oh, we'd love to pull out, but unfortunately our contract sticks to this. No, this is WWE going, damn, that's a big check.
Yeah. I think that's the most concerning part of it, right? Because, I mean, with common sense would tell you, you just pull out, you go, fuck the money. This doesn't matter right now, given what's happened.
That's a good portion of the roster, apparently, whether it be actual performers or, well, the regular employees, do not want to go over there.
Well, yeah. When you think about last time, like, you've got someone like Sami Zayn who can't even go, not to mention the women.
Right.
It's such a ridiculous situation that this entire deal has put them in. And I get why they did it. The money's incredible. But you're about to start making $4 billion a year from TV.
And I mean,
like, what does Fox think about this? What does NBC Universal think about this? What does Snickers, KFC, Cricket Wireless think about this, right?
Oh, Fox doesn't care. But Fox is just going to have John Layfield end up on TV and say how great this is.
Jesus. I don't want to get started on that part.
What you have to remember is you're attempting to appeal to a wrestling promoter's morality. And over the last 120 years or so, wrestling promoters work for money.
Yeah.
Wrestling promoters have made tons of money doing racist angles, doing sexist angles, doing homophobic angles, doing anything in order to make the biggest buck possible.
Right.
And while we can sit here and go, morally, this is wrong, if you took a survey of the average WWE house show and asked them how they felt about going over to Saudi Arabia just to have a card, I'd say a large percentage, or at least a majority of those people would be like, I don't care.
Right.
Card's card, you know. So while they may have some kind of repercussions if they do go over there, again, this isn't to a point where the controversy is so strong that it's basically obvious to WWE that they have to pull out of this.
Right.
There is no choice. WWE is going to stick with this until they're basically put up front directly that they have to pull out, or else something dramatic is going to happen. Like the stock price drops, or they're going to lose a major sponsor, or somebody's going to pull out of some major deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what happened with the Moolah thing, where Snickers pretty much was going to pull out of. I don't even remember what the hell they were.
Mania.
Oh, was it WrestleMania? Snickers was going to pull out of WrestleMania and all that, the majority sponsorship of that, because of the Moolah name, and WWE said, "Crap, that's our money. Okay, we'll do it."
Yeah, I have to think they've already talked to all the primary, like their direct business partners about this. Like those conversations have happened and are probably still happening. And we're still, almost 2 weeks away, and a lot can happen between now and then, especially because the story is evolving daily. It's problematic, and it shouldn't be, because they should take the moral high ground here, and that really is what annoys me. But I don't know why I expect them to, right?
But the thing what they'll end up doing is they'll end up pushing it down a little bit. I mean, they plug it to the extent that they plug it. But remember, too, that this event is bought and paid for already.
Mm-hmm.
They're realistically not going to make a dime off of any of the upcoming things. No one's going to buy it on pay-per-view. No one's going to subscribe to the network so that they can see it.
Right.
This is an event that happens to be a perk of having the network. So it is what it is. But, I mean, realistically, it still kind of is a glorified house show, but it is bought and paid for by the Saudi Arabia government.
Mm-hmm.
So if WWE chooses to put this on the back burner and just kind of go, okay, by the way, we're going to have this thing on the network, but we're not really going to talk about it through our everyday show, that type of thing. They're not going to lose any money that way to kind of push it down a little bit. I don't know how much that Saudi contract requires them to push this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't have this giant event and pretend that it doesn't exist except in our area, that type of thing. I don't know what kind of publicity. I mean, obviously they want some kind of publicity. If you remember back to Greatest Royal Rumble, the 10-minute commercial for Saudi Arabia that was put in the center of the pay-per-view.
Right. I think it's telling that on all the programming this week, they mentioned Crown Jewel, and Saudi Arabia is not mentioned once for the first time. And if the show happens, like, there can't be that propaganda. They can't do that, right?
Never say never.
I know. This whole thing, it just has me like, I want them to just be like, no, sorry, we're not coming. We'll pay whatever fine and be done with it. Like, this contract is null and void. Goodbye. But I know that's not going to happen. I know realistically that will never happen.
No, they're not going to burn that bridge. That's the thing.
No.
They may kind of push it down a little bit, but they'll have this event, and then whatever comes next further on down the line, they'll kind of push that back a little bit, be like, oh, maybe we'll do something later on down the line.
Yeah.
Let's see how things work out and that type of thing. But
right.
Yeah, this is bought and paid for. It'll run. It would take an active, I don't know.
An act of a bone saw to stop it?
Something big and urgent's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's our Saudi Arabia talk. We wanted to lead off with the fun part. Yes?
What?
You went, we just stopped talking. Oh, that was like a Wii, not like a. That was like a W-E Wii. I'm sorry. It was like a W-E-E-E-E-E, not a W-E-Wii.
As if I was on the Ultimate Thrill Ride.
Oh, Tom, that closed down like 2 years ago.
Oh, no.
14 people were killed.
That's tragic.
SmackDown 1000 happened this Thursday.
Speaking of tragedy.
It wasn't tragic. I enjoyed it.
No, tragic is actually what happened to Mae Young Classic this week. But anyway, let's move on.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all knew.
Because
Yeah.
I don't want to talk. I know, it already had happened, and we all knew it was coming. But I still don't want to talk about it or even think about it because my heart is broken.
Did you just identify with it? Is that the issue? You were like, oh, look, somebody's leg blew up.
Dude, what happened to my leg isn't even close to what happened to poor Nixon Newell's.
Both her knees. Including the already surgically repaired one. She tore both meniscus during it too.
Well, both meniscus and the one knee.
Oh, no.
You have two menisci in your knee.
No, it was both knees.
What I read, it wasn't. I didn't read it was both knees. I read it was just the one knee.
I read it was both knees. Much like Kevin Owens, it was both knees.
Well, Kevin just was taking advantage of a sale.
That world famous 1 week only Dr. James Andrews buy one knee, get one half off sale. Come on down to Birmingham.
It was buy one, get one free, according to Kevin Owens. I mean, he is a frugal Canadian.
That's true. All right. SmackDown started with Truth TV. I'm doing this from memory, so I'm probably going to miss something. SmackDown started with Truth TV. They ended up with Stephanie and Shane and Vince out there. And Vince only did it so he could dance.
Can we talk about Carmella for a moment?
And how, oddly shiny she was?
Oh, yes.
It started, I was like, oh, God.
Well, I mean...
Whose baby oil did she get into?
Knowing where she's from, that actually doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
That's a good point.
I like the reddish brown hair now.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a better look for her, I think. It threw me that first week, but as I've been seeing it now the last couple of weeks, I think it's a better look for her.
I would agree. I think this is a better position for her too. Wrestling and being the champion.
Yeah. I mean, she's not meant to carry a division by any means, but she is an entertaining enough character to live around. I think she works really well with R-Truth. And any excuse to get R-Truth on my TV is fun.
Oh, yeah. I still can't believe he's how old is he? He's in the 50s, right? Something stupid.
He's in his late 40s.
Jesus.
I think he's the same age or around the same age as Goldust is.
Yeah, what happened? Where is Dustin at?
Dustin's hurt.
Is he? Did I miss that? Did I forget? I probably just forgot it.
Anyway. Yeah, I think I don't know if it was he had some kind of surgery somewhat recently.
Gotcha. Yeah, we get to watch Vince dance. That was fun.
That's fun. By the way, Ron Killings is 46 years old.
Oh, okay. I feel like I thought he was older than that. Not in a negative way. I just thought he was older than that.
And Dustin Runnels is 49.
Really? See, I thought he was younger than that. All right. In today's, how old are they? Let's see what happened after
Rhodes
that.
Is 33 years old.
Right. Okay. So then we had Daniel Bryan and AJ tag against the Usos, and I went, holy shit, that's right, the Usos still exist.
Magnum TA is 59 years old.
Yeah, but I think the crash added 10 years.
He's still Tessa Blanchard's father, so stepfather, technically.
Yeah.
But real father.
Right. Yeah, the Usos exist. What else happened? We got to see Evolution. I'm sorry, I really enjoyed that because I'm a mark for 3 out of the 4 of them, and I'll leave that for you to decide who.
Dave Bautista's fun.
Did Dave go into business for himself? I'm convinced he went into business for himself.
I'm sure he did.
Because it felt like he was just like, oh, yeah, you weren't going to invite me, and then everyone bitched, and then you invited me. Cool, I'm getting my WrestleMania payday out of this. Hunter. If there's one match I don't want to see Triple H in at WrestleMania, it's against Batista.
I'm not a huge fan of Batista the wrestler.
See, I'm the same way. He's the one of those 3 guys that I'm just like, I'm
a big fan of Dave Bautista, the actor and Twitter personality.
Yeah, Twitter Dave is good, Dave. That's best Dave. So that happened. What else? Ray came back, defeated Shinsuke Nakamura.
In the match that you wanted to see 5, 7, 10 years ago.
Right. But Ray's in like such better shape than he was like 5 years ago. Like his last run. I think we talked about this back in January during the Rumble too, right? When he appeared, we were like, holy shit, Ray.
Yeah.
This is good, Ray.
I mean, dude's been decimated by injuries, and even when he hasn't been out of action hurt, he's been, bumps and bruises. And
right. But he looks good right now. He looks healthy. He looks like he can move, again, better than I remember most recently. So
you see his son's in the Performance Center.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
Who looks nothing like him.
No.
Because I'm expecting, the little kid that Eddie Guerrero and him fought over. And
right. Tom, we're old now, remember?
Yeah, but, this is a kid who's like 6 foot now, and, Ray is 5'3".
3'9". Oh. Edge was back to host The Cutting Edge. And told Becky Lynch, hey, Becky, can you not be such a bitch? And Becky was like, nah, I'm good. And then her and Charlotte fought. I interpreted that segment correctly, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It was okay. They gotta the crowd stop trying to push Becky as a heel. It's not working. It's painful at this point.
The thing is, Becky can pull off heel, but the crowd doesn't want to boo her.
Especially not against Charlotte right now, right?
Right. Again, if you were having the same feud against, I don't know,
Ronda. Holy shit, Becky and Ronda.
Yeah.
Armbar versus armbar. Why is this not happening?
Because Becky's their actual second best marketable woman right now.
Do you think so?
From a fan, I take a step back from marketable, because Charlotte's very marketable because of her name and because of her look, and
she's not even the second most marketable one.
Who would you put at number 2 then?
The Bellas.
Oh God, I forget they exist.
And I don't even know that Ronda's number 1. I honestly think the Bellas are the most marketable women they have. Like maybe 6 months, maybe in January when Ronda debuted, she was number 1 for a hot second. But now, like, there's no mainstream buzz about her being in WWE anymore.
I mean, are the Bellas selling merch? I assume,
yeah.
But
oh yeah, it never stops. They're the masters of reality television right now. Right? They've got their own clothing line. And I saw a report today that apparently after the whole Ronda Nikki thing, that is a legitimate money feud because ticket sales spiked on Tuesday after that segment. Like they're now expecting a sellout, which they weren't before Monday night.
At the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum.
At NYCB Live or whatever it is. What is it? What is
Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what sponsorship calls it. It's goddamn Nassau
I
Coliseum.
think it's the NYCB Live featuring, I don't know, whatever.
That sounds
Bellator
like
said it 300 times Saturday night. I don't even remember what it was. I was too busy waiting for old ass Fedor to kick old ass Chael's ass. And I got my money's worth, which was nothing because it was on cable. Let's see. Then the Undertaker showed up and was like, "Hey, Undertaker is here, and Hunter and Sean, rest in peace." And
bong.
Right. So that was cool. It was whatever. It was fun. It was a milestone show, so they had their parade of old people. And I saw someone trying to make the case on Reddit that like, oh, they're the old person promotion now. They're like TNA was when they started. They're the old person promotion. I don't think that's true at all. Are they having more with some of the legendary guys? Yeah.
But see, they're doing with the legends what like Japanese promotions generally do with their legends too. They're trotting them out there for their highlight shows, or I mean, it's the Saudi Arabia shows, so they're trotting it out there for money purposes. But it's not like they're involved in title feuds.
Exactly.
They're not involved in the middle of some 29-year-olds like battle or something like that. They're off to the side doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. The worst you have of that right now is I guess you could technically include Ray and Cena and maybe even Orton since he's kind of part-time as part of the World Cup to determine the best in the world. Right?
But see, I don't even consider any of the Saudi Arabia stuff to be in canon at this point.
You don't think the World Cup to determine the best in the world is in canon? DX versus the Brothers of Decision. The Brothers of Destruction is not in canon. The Brothers of Decision.
The tag team of yes and no.
So it's Daniel Bryan and Kane?
I just assumed it was Brutus Beefcake wrestling as Zodiac.
Good reference. I like that one.
Big Dungeon of Doom fan.
They got me. Oh, that was SmackDown. Give it a watch. It was an easy watching episode, and it beat Raw on the ratings this week.
Retro works like that.
Yeah. Apparently everybody in New Japan's pissed at Hero May. Mage? May? It's Mage, right?
Marley.
Tom,
Dan Marley.
you know more about this than I do.
And I don't necessarily know that much about it because it's all rumors and hearsay at this point.
Right.
But the word on the street is that a good deal of people, both Japanese and Gaijin, are not happy with the direction that New Japan is going in. Just in general, I guess. I don't know if it's the push to the American expansion or whatever the case may be, but there is talk that people that were pretty much guaranteed to re-up their contracts, mainly the elite, people like the Bucks and Kenny Omega, are now more on the fence, looking at the possibility of signing with WWE when their contract runs out the beginning of next year, because it's not what it used to be, basically.
Right.
And supposedly the only person who's not really unhappy is Tanahashi, because ace be ace, but I can't assume that Okada is necessarily unhappy either, because he is who he is. But I don't know. There's been a lot of upheaval recently with turns, and
I think this is a really weird story, right? Because I don't think, at least, again, I don't, surprise, I don't work at New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah, sorry to break the news to you. It doesn't feel to me like there's anything weird going on, though, right? Like, bookings, like, not radically different.
No,
like,
I mean,
the style of everything's the same. I don't know. I don't get the idea of why there is chaos in New Japan. Other than the faction, I understand the faction, but like literal chaos.
Right. Yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough in booking and behind the scenes or whatever to know what's different, but from an outsider perspective, from somebody who just kind of saw what was going on a year ago, comparison to what's going on now, and I don't necessarily see the difference. We've got titles. There's a decent amount of gaijin with titles at this point, but I mean, so I don't know. But that's not necessarily what the issue is. It's not like the Japanese people are having, the Japanese wrestlers are having an issue. The gaijin are having issues too. So
yeah,
I don't know. Is it have something to do with Bullet Club in general, of what they're kind of screwing around and kind of making all these little subdivisions? I don't know.
I do find it interesting. You do have the Young Bucks who were saying they're getting ready to release their last piece of Bullet Club merchandise.
Yep. Cody said the same thing.
And I have no idea what that means. Like, it could mean just a change within, Bullet Club maybe going away. Or they're coming to WWE. Or they're just leaving New Japan. Or, who knows? But it's just an interesting thing, I think. There's a lot of weird stuff. And it's coming from an organization that's not very, like, out in the public eye like WWE anyway. Not even within Japan.
The thing is, a lot of this, too, has to do with Cody/Bucks, that type of thing. And there's a lot of work yourself into a shoot with those guys, I think.
True.
So, I mean, I don't think that they'd necessarily try to work Meltzer into something, but I could see them potentially teasing the little possibilities and Meltzer kind of rolling along with it to kind of...
Because he's a fucking mark for them who shouldn't report on them for that reason. He can report on whatever else the hell he wants.
But, I mean, and I don't know. I think there's a thing, too, of Cody and the Bucks turning around and seeing what they did with All In and going, there is room here to potentially go off on our own and do our own thing without having to be Ring of Honor. I mean, Ring of Honor kind of came out of things like that their damn selves.
True.
It was to try to go around, find the best indie guys and kind of put them into one place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Ring of Honor honestly has kind of stagnated a little bit, and there's still indie wrestlers out there that need to be exposed, and guys that wrestle in Japan and that type of thing that could come in, and there is room for another promotion out there, and they're showing that they can put 11,000 butts in seats and can potentially do even more. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a very interesting winter this year.
I think guys like the Elite realize that they do have a good amount of power right now.
They have all the leverage. And the best part is they start to do stuff like this. And part of it could be, they start to do stuff like this and WWE is like, are they leaving there and they're not coming here? That could really be bad for us. We have to throw all of this money at them. And they know that. Everybody knows how much money WWE has now. They're a public company. We know they're getting ready to make $4 billion a year off TV. Or $1 billion, whatever it is. I don't remember. $1 billion a year for 4 years. There we go.
The thing is, too, that these guys that are names that maybe either leave WWE or aren't with WWE for whatever reason, they're realizing that it doesn't have to be Ring of Honor necessarily. It doesn't have to be TNA/Impact. Impact's doing their own thing, which is fine, and seems to be working for them right now. But Cody and them are showing, I mean, Cody's the perfect example of, hey, I'm good enough on my own to kind of take control of my own environment, work here, work where I want to, and be able to do everything that I want to do. And I think there are other, I mean, you get a guy like Jericho who is living his best life right now.
Right.
Working wherever the hell he wants to, just for the hell of it, knowing damn well that he could go back to Vince if he wanted to, just to grab a paycheck.
Yeah.
And there are other people that are out there that, like, when you're in WWE right now, you've got somebody say, like, the joke was like Zack Ryder, like, well, you know, if Zack were to leave WWE, could he kind of build off of something like that, because he's not being used in WWE at all? So could he kind of have a career outside of that, build off something like Cody? I don't think he could do that necessarily at Cody's level, but there's that possibility. I mean, and a lot of wrestlers are at that point where it used to be, well, WWE's giving me a paycheck, I'll work some main event shows and, you know, just kind of work a TV match once every 6 months and just kind of be around for whatever reason.
Right. So,
but that's not necessarily the dream anymore. People are actually looking at their opportunities.
So I'm going to make a bold prediction that I don't even necessarily believe in, but it just occurred to me.
Okay.
Cody, the Young Bucks, the Elite are going to leave New Japan in January to be the staples of Billy Corgan's new NWA when they sign a national television contract.
That's a possibility.
Right? It's interesting.
And I'd be curious the type of money that it would require.
Yeah, and it's a lot.
That's the question: is is it that much money up front, or do you offer almost like a piece of the pie?
Well, I think at first, you could give them that because they've got money to invest, right? Or I think even at first too, you could give them the option of like, look, yeah, all right, maybe you're TV exclusive with us, or, you know, pay-per-view exclusive with us, whatever. You know, go work your indies, go do everything else you need to do to keep making money. Until we hit, you know, work year by year until such a time where it's like, all right, you're exclusive.
It depends on what kind of money marks they can get and what kind of TV deal they can get.
Yeah. I mean,
whether they can turn around and give Kenny and Cody and the Bucks guaranteed money up front, or to have them turn around and go, hey, we'll give you cuts of the gate, cuts of the TV contract, that type of thing, where you're only making X amount of money per show guaranteed, but
right,
here's the upside to all that. And we saw how good of a job you guys did booking and bringing in all these people for All In. Do you think you could do that on a semi-regular basis?
Right. I think,
they have the names, they have the merch, they are the darlings.
They know how to operate the machine and make it work. And I think there is TV interest out there. I mean, they did get an hour on WGN, which is a national cable platform.
Yeah.
Supposedly Axis wants to add more wrestling. Everybody's looking for live content to prop up their ratings right now. Paramount Network may want to get back in the game. You know, what the only live sports they have now is Bellator. Who knows? The options are out there.
Those ratings on WGN actually were a lot stronger, I think, than anybody was expecting.
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, that could have been them testing the water with it. Who knows? So, I mean, it's clearly what WGN was doing was testing the water.
Right.
But interesting. It's I think there's going to be, I think in 12 months' time, things are going to be way different. I don't know what. I just have like this feeling things are going to be very, very different in the entirety of the wrestling landscape in the world.
See, the thing with New Japan at this point, and again, I don't know where the issues lie with them internally, but if New Japan loses Kenny, they lose the Bucks, they lose Cody, it's not the end of the world for them.
No. It slams the brakes on their westward expansion, I think.
Right. It stops that. But I mean, like, I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, Bullet Club has always been kind of churning in and out, whoever comes in, whoever leaves, that type of thing. Bullet Club's had, like, 24 members probably in the last 5 years.
Still less than the NWO.
Yeah, well. As I watch WrestleMania 18 and Hogan get beaten down by a Hall and Nash, as you say that.
There you go.
But that's all it is. I mean, if they choose to keep doing Bullet Club, they can keep doing Bullet Club. They want to do another Gaijin faction, they can do that. It's just
I think
whatever.
they can, you know, with New Japan owning Bullet Club, like they've got the Elite as a brand that they own. So
New Japan doesn't need them, and realistically, the Elite, that group, doesn't need New Japan either.
See, I disagree. I think
they seem to have
I think New Japan needs the Bullet Club, or needs the Elite. Let me correct that statement, because in the situation they're in, I mean, you look back 7-8 years ago. That's a company in peril. Right? 10 years ago, they're teetering on the edge of existing.
Yeah, but I think a lot of other things came into play with that as well.
And I think in order to keep up with what they've been doing, the westward expansion needs to happen. And that only happens... I mean, they could restock the cupboards with some Gaijin somehow, right? I mean, the opportunity's there. But that's going to... They'd have to rebuild that from scratch, right? It would take a while. They would lose momentum before they got back to where they were in the U.S. Because as much as people would be like, I'm a fan of New Japan, I love New Japan. In the U.S., like, I think they're mainly watching for Kenny and the Bucks, right? And Cody.
Right. Those are the T-shirts that they have.
Right. I think like that's the barrier for entry into New Japan. And I think once that goes away, the love for New Japan in the U.S. Lessens exponentially. Like, I think you're seeing a huge drop in New Japan World subscriptions in the United States. They don't sell close to the number of tickets they would do here in the U.S. without them. I think it would be a huge, huge loss for them that would take them a while to recover from. I do think they need the Elite to continue to grow.
And I mean, that then becomes the question of, realistically, how much can they grow? I mean, they seem to be confident of, going into this full American expansion. But that American expansion, like you said, relies on basically 3-4 people.
Yep. Well, and you kind of look at that expansion now, right? And you look at the last couple of shows they've had. The tickets haven't sold as well as they used to. They've done 4 shows in the U.S. now. Tickets don't sell as fast as they did the first time. They're still doing matches that are just, the English guys versus the Japanese guys. I think if you're going to come here, you need to give me a Tanahashi versus Okada, right? It can't just be, the Young Bucks tagging against Sho and Yo. If I want to see New Japan, I want to see New Japan. I don't want to see, the Ring of Honor card with New Japan stars, which is essentially what they've been doing. Right. I think they've plateaued themselves. They have the ability to keep that going because that easy entryway of being a fan of the Young Bucks and the Elite is there. That goes away. That easy pathway into forming a love for New Japan goes away. And that's where they lose the momentum of growth.
Yeah, don't dumb it down.
Right. I mean, I definitely think if you get a bigger kind of TV contract, yeah, you kind of dumb it down for a little while, make it a little, maybe add some production value, shit like that. Like, they need that in order to grow. Especially if you do a bigger TV product. But now no, don't do that. Stop doing it. Give me New Japan. So yeah, well, that conversation actually took a different turn than I thought it would. I like that. That's why we plan very little, folks. We here are the 3 or 4 things we're going to talk about because we know we're going to end up somewhere else.
We look at what time it is and we're like, damn, we talked about that for a while.
Yeah, right. I was looking at the time now and I'm like, man, it's already almost time to get out of here. So we probably should before we overstay our welcome for once. Unless you have anything else. We'll talk about Evolution next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going anywhere.
The only thing there was to talk about was Ronda and the Bellas, but we already kind of touched on that enough.
I bet.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. I feel like this has been an odd show, but a fun one, and we appreciate your listening. So, Tom, tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
Go to the Twitter machine at Mr. Workrate, at MR Workrate. Tweet a lot because I don't move around that much, so it is what it is at this point.
People should also follow your leg.
You can check out My Broken Leg has its own account, Tom's Broken Leg 1 on the Twitter machine.
Because there's already one.
Because apparently we're preparing for the other one. So yeah, I mean, I'm on my chart if you'd like to find my x-rays and blood tests.
Ooh.
But pretty sure you need my login information for that. Otherwise it's a HIPAA violation. So that's pretty much it for that.
Cool. You can find me all over the internet at JC Bobbitt, JCBOBBITT, wherever finer social media is pervade. God, I've not been able to talk this evening. You can find the show on Twitter at CheatersNVRPin. We're also on Facebook. And you can listen to us on all of your platforms, including just asking your Amazon device in your house to ask TuneIn to play us. That's a thing. You should try that. Yeah, I think that does it. Tom, anything else?
Sorry, I'm just watching Lance Storm from 2001 SummerSlam walk very briskly to the ring. He's very serious.
There we go.
I miss Lance Storm.
I do too. He has the personality of a blanket. A warm, fuzzy one, though. You look at it and you go,
I enjoy.
That's not going to do much. And then you do it and you go, I enjoyed that.
I was going to say, I enjoy following him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's a good follow. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We'll catch you next week. We'll preview Evolution and talk about whatever the hell else ends up happening in the next week. So thanks for listening. As always, I'm JC.
I'm Tom.
And we'll catch you on the flip side.